The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between star systems. Its metal walls stretched for miles in every direction. Inside the main council chamber, 12 different alien species sat around a huge circular table. Each delegate looked different from the others. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own light. Commander Zethkar stood at the center of the room. He was tall and covered in gray armor that looked like it was made from metal. His red eyes glowed as he spoke to the other council members. Behind him, a giant screen showed images of a small blue planet. "Look at this world called Earth," Zethkar said. His voice was deep and rough. "These humans are dangerous. They have learned too much too fast." The screen showed pictures of human cities, wars, and machines. Smoke rose from factories. Rockets shot into space. Nuclear explosions lit up the darkness. "Most species take 10,000 years to learn space travel," Zethkar continued. "These humans did it in just a few hundred years. They fight each other constantly. They destroy their own planet. Now they want to spread to other worlds." An alien that looked like it was made of pure light spoke next. This was Elder Seema from the Luminari race. Her voice sounded like music. "We have studied the humans for 50 Earth years. Our computers show they will become a threat to all life in the galaxy. The numbers do not lie." Dr. Moralith sat quietly in her chair. She was from the Etherian Collective, a peaceful race that loved learning about other species. Her blue skin was covered in small silver spots that changed color when she was thinking hard. She wanted to speak, but knew the others would not listen to her. The leader of the council was an ancient being called Archonvex. He looked like a giant brain floating in a clear tank filled with green liquid. When he spoke, his thoughts appeared as words in the air above his tank. "Show us the evidence," Archonvex commanded. Zethkar pressed a button on his arm. The screen changed to show graphs and numbers. In just 200 years, humans went from riding horses to splitting atoms. They built weapons that can destroy entire cities. They created artificial minds that think faster than any natural brain. Another delegate raised a clawed hand. This was Captain Mornak from the Tazarian Empire. His face looked like a mix between a lizard and a bird. "What about their population? How many of them exist now?" "Almost 4 billion, Zethkar answered. "And growing fast. Most species never get past 1 billion before they learn to control their numbers. Humans just keep making more humans." Elder Sima's light grew brighter as she became more worried. "They also show signs of violence that we have never seen before. They create entertainment about war. Their children play games about fighting. Even their sports involve conflict." Dr. Moralith finally found the courage to speak. "But they also show kindness. They help each other during disasters. They care for their sick and old. They even try to save animals from dying out." Zethkar turned his red eyes toward her. "That same kindness will make them protect each other when they spread across the galaxy. They will see other species as threats to their families. They will fight to protect their young." The room fell silent as the council members thought about this. Each species represented millions of worlds and trillions of lives. They had worked for thousands of years to keep peace in the galaxy. Rchon Vex's thoughts appeared again. "What do you propose we do?" "We use the Void Lance," Zethkar said without emotion. "One shot will turn their entire planet into a tiny black hole. It will be over in seconds. No human will survive." Dr. Moralith's silver spots turned dark blue with shock. "You want to kill 4 billion beings? Even their children?" "To save 4 trillion beings across the galaxy," Captain Mornak replied. "Sometimes the needs of many outweigh the needs of few." Elder Sima's light dimmed as she spoke sadly. "We have used the Void Lance only 3 times in galactic history. Each time, it was to stop a species that threatened all life. The humans are moving toward that same path. But they have not actually threatened anyone yet, Dr. Moralith argued. They are still trapped on their own world. For now, Zethkar said. Our spies report they will achieve faster than light travel within 50 years. Once they leave their solar system, it will be too late to stop them. Archon Vex called for the vote. All in favor of using the Void Lance against Earth? One by one, 11 hands, claws, and lights rose in agreement. Only Dr. Moralith kept her hand down. The vote is complete, Archon Vex announced. Earth will be destroyed. Fleet Admiral Korath received the orders on his warship called Worldbreaker. He was a veteran of many space battles and had destroyed planets before. But something about this mission felt different. The humans had never attacked anyone. They did not even know other intelligent life existed. He looked at the weapon controls in front of him. The Void Lance was the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. It could turn matter into energy and then crush that energy into a point smaller than an atom. Nothing could survive it. Set course for Earth, he ordered his crew. We leave in 7 rotations. Back on Nexus Prime, Dr. Moralith walked through the empty corridors. She felt sick about what was going to happen. 4 billion lives would end because of fear about what might happen in the future. She stopped at a window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere among those points of light was a small blue world where humans lived their lives. They fell in love, raised children, created art, and dreamed of the future. They had no idea that their entire species had just been sentenced to death. Dr. Moralith made a decision. She could not stop the Void Lance, but maybe she could learn something about humans before they were gone forever. She would request permission to study Earth for the next few days. It was the least she could do for a species about to become extinct. In space, the Worldbreaker began moving toward Earth's solar system. Its massive engines pushed the ship faster and faster through the darkness. Admiral Korath looked at his orders one more time and then locked them away. In 7 days, humanity would be just a memory. 3 days had passed since the Galactic Council made their terrible decision. Dr. Moralith worked alone in her laboratory aboard the science ship Seeker's Light. She had been studying Earth from a distance, trying to understand humans before they were destroyed. She watched videos of human children playing in parks. She saw families eating meals together. She observed scientists working in laboratories just like her own. These beings did not look like monsters who would threaten the galaxy. They looked like any other intelligent species trying to survive and grow. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout her ship. The main computer spoke in a calm voice. Unknown transmission detected. Origin: Earth solar system. Signal strength: impossible. Dr. Moralith rushed to her communication station. The readings made no sense. The signal was coming from Earth, but it was also coming from everywhere else at the same time. It appeared to be reaching every star system in the galaxy at exactly the same moment. That cannot be right, she whispered to herself. Nothing travels faster than light. Even our best quantum communication takes time to cross space. She called her computer assistant. Show me the signal analysis. Numbers and graphs filled the air around her. The signal was not traveling through space at all. It was somehow existing in all locations at once, as if someone had written a message on the fabric of reality itself. On the other side of the galaxy, similar alarms were ringing on thousands of ships and space stations. The signal was reaching everyone everywhere. Scientists, soldiers, and politicians all stared at their screens in confusion. Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of the Worldbreaker when his communication officer called out, "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the target planet." "From Earth?" Korath asked. "How is that possible? They do not have technology to reach us here." "I do not know, sir. But the signal is strange. The transmission began playing automatically on every screen and speaker in the galaxy. It started with simple mathematics that any intelligent species would understand. Numbers that showed basic addition, multiplication, and division. Then came something more complex. The signal showed the exact location of Earth using star positions that could be seen from anywhere in the galaxy. This was followed by a sequence of prime numbers, mathematical concepts that proved intelligence. Dr. Morales watched the numbers flow across her screen. Her silver spots changed from blue to bright yellow as she became excited. "They are trying to communicate," she said. "They know we are here." But then, the transmission showed something impossible. It began displaying the quantum signatures of all 12 council species. These were like fingerprints, unique patterns that identified each race at the atomic level. Humans should not know this information. They had never left their own solar system or met any alien species. How do they know our quantum signatures? Dr. Morales asked the empty room. "This is classified information that only the Council possesses." The signal continued. It showed the genetic codes of every Council species. It displayed their home planet locations. It even showed the construction plans for Nexus Prime, information that was supposed to be completely secret. Across the galaxy, panic began spreading through government buildings and military bases. The humans somehow knew everything about every species in the Council. They knew where everyone lived, what they looked like, and how they were organized. Commander Zethkar received the transmission on his command ship. His red eyes grew brighter as anger filled him. "This proves they are dangerous," he broadcast to the Council. "They have been spying on us for years." But Dr. Morales noticed something else. The signal was not threatening or angry. It was careful and respectful, like a student showing their homework to a teacher. The humans were not trying to scare anyone. They were trying to prove they were intelligent enough to communicate. Then came the final part of the transmission. Mathematical equations began flowing across every screen in the galaxy. At first, they looked like normal physics formulas. But as Dr. Morales studied them more carefully, she realized what she was seeing. "By the light of creation," she whispered. They solved it. The equations were the solution to the unified field theory. For millions of years, the greatest scientists in the galaxy had tried to understand how all the forces of physics worked together. Gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, they all seemed to follow different rules. But these equations showed how they were all part of one giant system. Dr. Morales had spent her entire career studying this problem. Her people, the Etherians, were considered the best physicists in the galaxy. But these equations from Earth showed understanding far beyond anything her species had achieved. She ran the numbers through her most powerful computers. Every calculation checked out perfectly. The humans had not just solved the greatest mystery in science. They had done it in a way that was elegant and beautiful. The transmission ended with a simple message in mathematical language. "We wish to talk." Dr. Morales sat back in her chair, her mind racing. How had a species that had never met aliens learned so much about the galaxy? How had they solved problems that had puzzled civilizations for millions of years? She opened the communication channel to Nexus Prime. "Council Leader Archon Vex, this is Dr. Morales. The Earth transmission changes everything. We need to reconsider our decision." Archon Vex's thoughts appeared on her screen. "Explain." "The humans have knowledge that should be impossible for them to possess. They solved a unified field theory. They know information about us that we never shared with anyone. Either they have been studying us for far longer than we thought, or they have discovered something about the universe that we do not understand." Meanwhile, Admiral Korath studied the same transmission on his warship. His military mind focused on the strategic implications. If humans could send signals that appeared everywhere at once, what other impossible technologies did they possess? "Change course," he ordered his crew. "We will observe the Earth system from a safe distance before proceeding with our mission." His second-in-command looked surprised. "Sir, our orders are to destroy the planet immediately." "Our orders assume the humans are primitive," Korath replied. "This transmission proves they are not. We need more information before we act." Across the galaxy, the same conversations were happening on hundreds of ships and thousands of worlds. The simple transmission from Earth had changed everything. Humans were no longer seen as dangerous primitives who needed to be stopped. They were now a complete mystery that demanded investigation. Dr. Moralith worked through the night, studying every part of the human transmission. The more she learned, the more questions she had. The humans were not just intelligent, they had somehow learned things about reality that the oldest and wisest species in the galaxy did not know. Tomorrow, she would request permission to contact Earth directly. The galaxy needed answers, and only the humans could provide them. Dr. Sarah Chun had not slept in 3 days. She stood in front of the United Nations Emergency Council in New York, her hair messy and her eyes red from exhaustion. Behind her, a wall of screens showed data that made no sense to anyone except her small team of quantum physicists. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah began, her voice shaky from tiredness. 3 days ago, we detected a large fleet of alien ships moving toward Earth. They will arrive in 4 days. Based on their trajectory and energy signatures, we believe they intend to destroy our planet. The room erupted in noise. Presidents, prime ministers, and generals all started shouting questions at once. The Secretary General of the United Nations raised her hand for silence. "Dr. Chun, how do you know this?" she asked. "Our best telescopes see nothing." Sarah touched a button on her tablet. The screens behind her showed strange wave patterns and energy readings. 6 months ago, a colleague of mine named Dr. Marcus Reed died in a car accident. He was working on quantum consciousness theory, the idea that human thoughts exist in the quantum realm that underlies all reality. She paused and looked around the room. 3 days ago, Marcus contacted me. Not through any technology we understand. He simply appeared in my laboratory and started talking. General Morrison from the United States military leaned forward. "Are you saying you spoke to a dead man?" "I am saying I spoke to Marcus Reed," Sarah replied carefully. Whether he is dead or alive in any way we understand those terms is unclear. But he warned me about the alien fleet. He also taught me how to send the transmission we broadcast yesterday. The transmission had been Sarah's idea, based on information from Marcus. Simple mathematics to show human intelligence, followed by complex data that would prove humans knew more than they should. It was designed to make the aliens curious instead of afraid. "Dr. Chun," said the president of Brazil, "you are asking us to believe in ghosts and spirits. This sounds like madness." Sarah touched her tablet again. A new image appeared on the screens, a man in his 40s wearing a lab coat. He looked solid and real, but the wall was visible through his body. "Hello," said the image of Marcus Reed. "I know this is difficult to understand. Death is not what any of us thought it was." Half the people in the room stood up in shock. Some backed away from the screens. Others stared in fascination. General Morrison reached for his sidearm before remembering that bullets would not work. Against the hologram. Marcus continued speaking in a calm voice. "When humans die, our consciousness does not disappear. It transitions to a different state of existence in the quantum realm. We can still think, learn, and even affect the physical world in limited ways." "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Nakamura from Japan. "Consciousness cannot exist without a brain." "That is what we thought too," Marcus replied. "But consciousness is not produced by the brain. The brain is like a radio that receives consciousness from the quantum realm. When the radio breaks, the signal continues to exist. Sarah stepped forward again. Marcus has been teaching me about this for 3 days. Every human who has ever died is still out there, still learning and growing. They exist in a realm that overlaps with our physical universe, but follows different rules. How many? Asked the Secretary General quietly. All of them, Sarah answered. Every human who has lived and died on Earth for the past 300,000 years. Billions and billions of consciousness existing in the quantum realm. Marcus's image turned to face the camera directly. The alien species approaching Earth have technology far beyond yours. But they understand only the physical universe. They have no idea that consciousness can exist beyond death. This gives humanity a unique advantage. General Morrison found his voice again. What kind of advantage? The aliens fear that humans will spread across the galaxy and become a threat, Marcus explained. They plan to destroy Earth to prevent this. But they cannot destroy human consciousness. Even if they kill every person on this planet, billions of human minds will still exist in the quantum realm. Sarah pulled up another screen showing energy patterns around Earth. Marcus and the others have been preparing for this. They can manipulate quantum fields in ways that living humans cannot. They can affect electronics, create energy barriers, and even become visible when needed. You mean we have a ghost army? Asked the Prime Minister of Canada. We have every human ancestor watching over us, Sarah corrected. Warriors, scientists, philosophers, artists, everyone who ever lived is still out there and ready to protect their descendants. Marcus's image smiled sadly. Death is humanity's greatest gift, though you do not realize it yet. Most species fear death so much that they never learn its true nature. But humans have always honored their dead. You build monuments, tell stories, and keep memories alive. This natural behavior prepared you for the truth, that consciousness survives beyond physical death. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Finally, the Secretary General spoke again. What do you need from us? Permission to make contact with the aliens, Sarah replied. Marcus and the others have learned things about the universe that even advanced alien species do not know. We can offer them knowledge in exchange for peace. What if they refuse? Asked General Morrison. Marcus's image became more solid, more real. His voice grew stronger. Then they will learn that humans are not as helpless as they appear. A species that has conquered death itself is not easily defeated. Sarah turned to face the council members. The aliens think they are coming to destroy a primitive species trapped on one planet. They do not know they are about to meet 4 billion living humans and 100 billion human consciousness that exist beyond physical limitations. But how do we prove this to them? Asked Dr. Nakamura. We show them, Marcus answered. We make ourselves visible. We demonstrate technologies that their science says should be impossible. We prove that human consciousness has learned to manipulate the very foundations of reality. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Marcus, are you sure this will work? No, he replied honestly. But the alternative is watching our species die without fighting back. At least this way, we show them that humans are far more than they understand. The Secretary General called for a vote. All in favor of allowing Dr. Chun to attempt communication with the alien fleet? Every hand in the room went up. Sarah looked at Marcus's image one more time. Are the others ready? We have been ready for 300,000 years, Marcus replied. We have been waiting for the day when humanity would need the wisdom of all who came before. That day has arrived. The meeting ended and Sarah returned to her laboratory. Through the quantum communicator, she could sense the presence of countless human consciousness gathering around Earth. Scientists who had died centuries ago worked alongside recently deceased. engineers to prepare. Humanity's defense. Death, she realized, was not the end of human potential. It was graduation to a higher level of existence. The aliens were about to learn that destroying Earth would not destroy humanity. It would only free billions more human consciousness to join the quantum realm. Tomorrow, when the alien fleet arrived, they would face not just the living humans on Earth, but every human who had ever existed. It would be the most uneven battle in galactic history, and the aliens had no idea how outmatched they really were. Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of the World Breaker as it entered Earth's solar system. His red eyes stared at the sensor readings in disbelief. The space around the small blue planet was filled with something that should not exist. "Report," he commanded his science officer. "Sir, we are detecting millions of quantum signatures around Earth. They appear to be consciousness patterns, but they exist without physical bodies." "That is impossible," Korath replied. "Consciousness cannot exist without biological support systems." "I know, sir, but the readings are consistent across all our instruments. There are billions of individual awareness patterns surrounding the planet. They are organized in defensive formations." Korath activated his communication system and contacted Dr. Moralith on the Seeker's Light. "Doctor, are you seeing this?" Dr. Moralith's voice came through the speakers, filled with excitement and fear. "Admiral, I have never seen anything like this in my career. These consciousness patterns are not only present, they are active. They are thinking, communicating with each other, and responding to our presence." Through the main viewing screen, Korath could see them now. Translucent figures floating in the vacuum of space. They looked like humans, but glowed with soft light. Some wore ancient clothing, others wore modern garments. All of them faced the approaching alien fleet with calm determination. "How many are there?" Korath asked quietly. "Computer estimates suggest over 100 billion individual consciousness," his science officer reported. "They extend in layers around Earth, forming a protective sphere several thousand kilometers thick." Dr. Moralith's ship moved closer to study the phenomenon. Her instruments were designed to analyze alien biology, but these beings were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They had no DNA, no cells, no physical structure at all. Yet they clearly existed and showed all signs of intelligence. "They are trying to communicate," Dr. Moralith announced over the fleet communication system. "I am receiving mathematical sequences from multiple sources. The patterns suggest organized intelligence operating on a massive scale." One of the consciousness patterns began moving toward her ship. As it approached, it became more solid and detailed. Dr. Moralith could see it was an elderly human woman wearing simple clothes. The being somehow entered her ship through the metal walls and appeared on her bridge. "Hello," the being said in perfect Etherian language. "I am Eleanor Roosevelt. I lived on Earth in your 20th century. I speak for those who came before." Dr. Moralith's silver spots flashed bright yellow with shock. "How do you know my language? How are you here?" Eleanor smiled gently. "Death is not an ending for humans. It is a transition to a state where consciousness can exist without physical limitations. We learn, we grow, and we remember everything our living descendants experience. But this violates every law of physics we know," Dr. Moralith protested. "Your physics study only the material universe," Eleanor explained. "Consciousness exists in the quantum realm that underlies physical reality. Most species lose connection to this realm when they die. Humans maintain it through emotional bonds, memory, and love that transcends death." On the World Breaker, Admiral Korath watched as more consciousness patterns approached his ship. They passed through his shields as if they did not exist. Soon his bridge was filled with translucent humans from different time periods. A man in ancient armor stepped forward. "I am Alexander of Macedon. You come to destroy our descendants? Another figure, wearing a lab coat, joined him. I am Albert Einstein. We wish to understand your reasons. Korath reached for his weapon but stopped when he realized how pointless it would be. You are all supposed to be dead. We are beyond death, Alexander replied. We exist in a state your species has never achieved. We have learned to maintain our consciousness without physical bodies. Einstein moved closer to examine Korath's equipment. Your technology is impressive, but limited to material manipulation. You understand matter and energy, but not the consciousness that observes them. Dr. Myleth opened the communication channel to address all ships in the fleet. I am receiving incredible data from these beings. They possess knowledge about the fundamental nature of reality that surpasses anything in our scientific databases. Eleanor Roosevelt was showing her mathematical proofs that explained how consciousness could exist independently of matter. The equations were far beyond anything the Etherian collective had ever discovered. How long have you known this? Dr. Miralith asked. Every human who dies learns these truths, Eleanor explained. But the living cannot process this knowledge while confined to biological brains. Death removes those limitations and allows full understanding. On other ships throughout the fleet, similar conversations were taking place. Human consciousness from every era of history appeared to explain their existence to confused alien soldiers and scientists. Philosophers spoke with military commanders. Ancient warriors discussed strategy with modern generals. Dead scientists shared discoveries with living researchers. Commander Zethkar received reports from across his battle group. Sir, the humans have somehow infiltrated every ship in the fleet. Our shields and armor provide no protection against them. Are they attacking? Zethkar demanded. No, sir. They appear to be teaching. They are sharing scientific knowledge and explaining their nature to our crews. Zethkar's red eyes grew brighter with anger. This is some kind of trick. Dead beings cannot exist. A new voice spoke behind him. Death is only the beginning. Zethkar spun around to see a human woman in military uniform standing calmly on his bridge. Her name tag read Joan of Arc. Who are you? Zethkar growled. I led armies in life. In death, I learned that true victory comes not from destroying enemies, but from protecting what matters most. You threaten our living descendants. This we cannot allow. Joan gestured toward the viewing screen where billions of human consciousness surrounded Earth. Every person you see died defending their families, their ideals, or their species. Death did not end their commitment to humanity. It freed them from physical limitations while preserving their dedication. Dr. Moralith broadcast her findings to the entire fleet. These consciousness patterns show complete mastery over quantum mechanics at levels we cannot achieve. They can manipulate matter, energy, and space-time itself. But they choose not to use this power for conquest. Why not? Asked Admiral Korath. Einstein appeared on his bridge to answer. Because we have learned that consciousness is the universe's method of understanding itself. Every intelligent species adds to this understanding. Destroying others diminishes the cosmic mind. Eleanor Roosevelt added, we offer to share this knowledge with all species. Death need not be feared when consciousness can continue beyond biological limits. The human consciousness began demonstrating their abilities. They made themselves solid enough to touch alien equipment. They created energy fields that protected damaged ships. They even repaired broken systems using quantum manipulation techniques. Joan of Arc addressed the entire alien fleet through every communication system simultaneously. You came here to destroy humanity because you feared we would threaten the galaxy. But you misunderstood our nature. Humans do not seek to conquer. We seek to connect. Even in life, humans create art, music, and stories that preserve the essence of those who die. Every funeral, every monument, every memorial service teaches the living that death is transition, not termination. Alexander of Macedon appeared next to Admiral Korath. In life, I conquered nations. In death, I learned that the greatest conquest is conquering death itself. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. The alien fleet found itself surrounded not by an enemy to be defeated, but by teachers offering the greatest discovery in cosmic history. The beings they had come to exterminate were instead offering them immortality. Admiral Korath looked at his weapon controls and then at the human consciousness filling his ship. For the first time in his military career, he realized that some battles could only be won by refusing to fight. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen anything like it. For the first time in its million-year history, a representative sat at the circular table who was not technically alive. Marcus Reed appeared as solid as any physical being, but his translucent form revealed the quantum energy patterns that kept his consciousness intact. Archon Vex's thoughts appeared in the air above his tank. This emergency session will address the unprecedented situation at Earth. Dr. Reed, you speak for humanity? I speak for all humans, living and dead, Marcus replied calmly. We number in the hundreds of billions, but we share a common purpose: to protect our descendants and offer knowledge to the galaxy. Commander Zethkar's red eyes blazed with anger. This is wrong. The dead should stay dead. You violate the natural order. The natural order includes consciousness surviving physical death, Marcus explained. Your species simply never learned how to maintain awareness after biological functions cease. We can teach you. Elder Sima of the Luminari floated in her chair, her light dimmed with confusion. For millions of years, we have watched civilizations rise and fall. None have achieved what you describe, because none understood that consciousness is a fundamental force of the universe, Marcus replied. You study gravity, electromagnetism, and nuclear forces. But consciousness is equally basic. It is how the universe observes and understands itself. Dr. Morales leaned forward in her seat. I have spent the last week studying human consciousness patterns. Their quantum signatures show complete integration with the underlying structure of reality. They exist in dimensions we cannot detect with our instruments. Impossible, Captain Mornak declared. If such dimensions existed, we would have found them. A new figure appeared beside Marcus, an elderly human woman with kind eyes. I am Marie Curie. In life, I discovered radioactivity. In death, I learned that consciousness creates the very quantum fields that make matter possible. The chamber fell silent as she continued. Your scientists study the universe as if consciousness were separate from it. But consciousness and reality are the same thing. Matter is simply consciousness experiencing itself as physical forms. Archon Vex's thoughts showed his struggle to understand. You claim that mind creates matter. We claim that mind and matter are different aspects of the same phenomenon, Marie replied. Your species experience consciousness through biological brains. Humans learn to experience it directly through the quantum realm. Marcus gestured toward the viewing screens that showed Earth's solar system. Our living descendants represent 4 billion consciousness learning to transcend physical limitations. Our dead represent 100 billion consciousness who have already achieved this transcendence. And what do you want from us? Elder Sima asked. Peace, Marcus answered simply, and the chance to share what we have learned. Death is not humanity's enemy. It is our graduation to a higher state of existence. We offer to teach this to all species willing to learn. Commander Zethkar stood up angrily. This goes against everything we believe. Death is the end. It must be the end, or life has no meaning. Joan of Arc appeared beside him. Death gives life meaning by showing it is precious. But death is not destruction. It is transformation. We die to be reborn in a state where consciousness can grow without physical limitations. Dr. Muralith addressed the council. I propose the Consciousness Accords, a new treaty establishing humanity as guides for post-mortem existence. Earth becomes a learning center where species can discover their own potential for consciousness survival. In exchange for what? Captain Mornock demanded. Controlled expansion, Marcus replied. Humans will spread through the galaxy only by invitation. We will not conquer worlds. We will help existing civilizations evolve beyond their current limitations. Einstein appeared in the chamber and walked to the central display. Mathematical equations filled the air around him. These formulas show how consciousness can exist independently of biological support systems. We freely share this knowledge with all species. The equations were beautiful and elegant, showing how quantum fields could maintain complex information patterns indefinitely. Every scientist in the chamber recognized their importance immediately. You would give this knowledge away? Archon Vex asked. Knowledge grows when shared, Einstein replied. We gain nothing by hoarding wisdom that could help others transcend death. Elder Sima's light brightened as she began to understand. You offer immortality to the entire galaxy? We offer the tools for consciousness to survive beyond biological death, Marcus corrected. Each species must discover their own path to transcendence. But humans can serve as guides and teachers. Commander Zethkar still resisted. The Vorthic Empire rejects this madness. We will not bow to ghosts and spirits. Alexander of Macedon appeared beside his chair. In life, I conquered through strength. In death, I learned that the greatest conquest is conquering the fear of death itself. Your empire grows weak from fighting an unwinnable war against mortality. We can offer your warriors something better than victory in battle, Joan added. We can offer them eternal service to causes they believe in. Death becomes not defeat, but promotion to a higher rank of existence. The debate continued for hours. Species after species struggled with concepts that challenged everything they believed about life, death, and consciousness. But gradually, the evidence became overwhelming. Dr. Moralith presented her research showing how human consciousness patterns demonstrated complete mastery over quantum mechanics. The dead humans had achieved technological capabilities far beyond the most advanced galactic civilizations. They could destroy us all if they chose, she concluded. But instead, they offer to teach us their secrets. This is not a threat to be feared, but an opportunity to evolve. The final vote was closer than the first. 6 species voted to accept the Consciousness Accords. 5 voted against. 1 abstained. The motion passes, Archon Vex announced. Earth is granted protected status. Humanity will be allowed to expand through the galaxy as teachers and guides. Marcus smiled sadly. Thank you. But know that this is only the beginning. Every species will eventually discover what humans learned, that consciousness transcends physical existence. We simply learned it first. As the council session ended, Sarah Chun stood in her laboratory on Earth. Through quantum communicators, she could speak with every human scientist who had ever lived. The accumulated knowledge of 300,000 years of human history was now available to the living. Children across the galaxy would soon learn to speak not just with their parents, but with grandparents, great-grandparents, and ancestors stretching back generations. Death would lose its terror when beings realized it was merely graduation to a higher form of existence. The galaxy had marked Earth for destruction because they saw humanity's potential for chaos. They failed to recognize humanity's even greater potential for connection, continuity, and the transformation of death itself. Sarah looked up at the stars through her laboratory window. Somewhere among those points of light, alien children were learning that their grandparents had not really left them. Death was becoming not an ending, but a doorway to reunion with all who had gone before. Humanity had saved itself not through superior weapons or advanced technology, but by refusing to accept that death was final. In teaching the galaxy to transcend mortality, humans had found their true purpose among the stars. The species that other races had feared would bring chaos instead brought the greatest gift imaginable, the promise that love, knowledge, and consciousness could survive forever. Death, humanity's oldest enemy, had become their greatest teacher and their ultimate gift to the cosmos.